So good morning, fellow entrepreneurs. Good morning, yes. Welcome to the UN. We have arrived. Amazing, huh? Our voices are heard. They want to hear from us. My name is Steve Distante. I am the EO UN Ambassador for Entrepreneurship. And the UN wants to know what we're thinking. But before we get started, how many of you, is this your first time in the UN? First time? Oh yeah, keep your hands raised. If you're a member of EO, do we have any new members of EO? Members of EO? There you go. And who's here to ignite impact through the Sustainable Development Goals? Yes, all of us, thank you, awesome. So my journey to get here was through EO. And it was May of 2017, and many of you might have heard of it. But we do a thing called Global Leadership Conference, and we were tasked to find a chapter patron, a person who was significant in the community and would raise the awareness about EO and let us know a little bit about who this wonderful organization known as EO is. And we selected a person unanimously as on our board, a gentleman by the name of Sergio Fernandez de Cordova. I had never actually met him. I just saw his crazy posts about, we've got an oceans conference at the UN, and does anybody want to come? All last minute kind of stuff. And I hadn't had the opportunity, so we set up a meeting. He had already sort of accepted the role as chapter patron, which required us to kind of really get together and talk about what it was. But he looked at me, and I said, okay, so are we doing this? And he says, and if anybody knows Sergio, goes, yo, dude, you bet I'm into this. This is awesome. He says, you have no idea. The UN has been spending years on this thing called the Sustainable Development Goal. They spent 3 years. 193 governments came together. And they came up with 17 things that screwed up in the world. And he says, and in 2015, when they unveiled them, these multi-billion-dollar companies said, we got this. They're going to do it. So it's 2017, I'm talking to Sergio. And he goes, and honestly, what they figured out was entrepreneurs have the heart. We're the ones who make stuff happen. He says, those big companies, they can try, but it's trying to turn around a ship. It's just too much. I was like, So he's got a Latino background, Peru, I think it was. And so I had bought a bottle of Patron instead of Patron for him. And we had a shot of Patron, and it turns out he actually knows the founder of Patron. And it's been great ever since. He brought us here for a conference in September, for a press conference. And last year we were here for a group called the ICSB, the International Council for Small Business. And our voice was heard. And today was only possible because of leaders like you in the room. Today, we are igniting the impact of the SDGs in a very meaningful way. Examples of entrepreneurs making a difference are right here in the room. People like John Cronin and Mark Cronin from John's Crazy Socks. An amazing story that many of you might have heard. This business, in its first year, did $1.7 million. In year 2, last year, they did $5.5 million. A father and son team, a son who wanted to go into business as an entrepreneur, and a dad who stepped up and said, yeah, I'm going to do that with you. And they created these crazy socks, something as common as socks. And did I mention that John Cronin has Down syndrome? And it does not hold him back. And his dad loves to say, people with differing abilities can be entrepreneurs too. How about that? John, raise your hand. You're going to see these guys all over the news now that you know about them. If you didn't know about them already, they just got Entrepreneur of the Year. Mark Cronin is a member of EO Long Island. John Cronin is EO Long Island's Entrepreneur of the Year. Really awesome. And they just told me they're going to be doing an SDG Sock of the Month Club, so that's pretty cool too. Talk about entrepreneurship. Good way to take advantage of an opportunity. I love that. So we announced Sergio as our chapter patron, and I get a text from Brian at the airport, as usual. He's always at the airport, right? So he gives you a call. He'll give you a ring. I put the press release out. Sergio is going to be our chapter patron. And he's like, it's 10:30 at night. I'm like, sure, give me a ring. So I'm like, hello? And he goes, hey, Steve, I'm just got back from Guadalajara and I'm going to wherever. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And he goes, got a question for you. I'm like, yeah. And he says, I want to know, would you consider this relationship with the UN, where we could do it globally? And I'm like, sure, why not? I'm like, absolutely, why not? What would you like to do? He goes, I'll get back to you with the details, but I think it's a good platform for us to be able to do some good things and make people aware. So good job. And what an amazing servant leader, chairman that we have in Brian and in Boo Boo. The leadership of EO is just in such great hands. We have Carrie here today. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of your leadership. You guys are amazing. Thank you. So I'm obsessed with documentaries. Is anybody obsessed with documentaries? I'm thoroughly convinced I would have gotten all A's in high school instead of C's if they showed it in a documentary format. Is anybody with me? It's super cool, right? I think it's the way our entrepreneurial brains work, right? So my favorite documentary is Revenge of the Electric Car. Has anybody seen that one? That's pretty cool, right? It's Elon Musk doing battle with GM and how the electric car actually comes to sort of be. I think it's pretty amazing. And so as I was scratching my head saying, how could this be a great way to share with the entrepreneurial community? I've been working on a project for a year now. And today, I'm actually seeing the trailer, the final trailer today, now with you, for a documentary that runs about a half hour, but today you're going to see a couple of minutes about what we're showing, these entrepreneurs making a difference, and they're you, they're me, with businesses, they're amazing. So I'd like to run the clip now, please.
Very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief?
Will U.S. businesses benefit from capitalism as usual, or is it time for a change in thinking so we don't repeat the mistakes of the past?
Unless we take radical action, there may not be a planet for us to inhabit, let alone do business on.
The only way we're going to make substantial progress on the challenging problems of our time is for business to drive the solutions.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is a set of 17 dynamic goals.
The focus is how can we address some of the most stubborn problems that we have been experiencing over decades.
A future where there is no poverty, a better climate, less inequality. That, on the one hand, is ambitious, but it's also absolutely necessary.
We have countries that can't see eye to eye on many things, and yet 193 of them have agreed that these are the goals for humanities.
The SDGs apply to everybody, not exclusively the poor countries, but all the nations.
Initially, people think the SDGs are a major global agenda, but that's really not the case. Entrepreneurs are critical.
When the SDGs were launched, we were all in. As a serial entrepreneur, as I see a problem, I want to solve it, so I find a way to do it, invest my money.
Companies that implement the SDG framework have the potential to grow 2 or 3 times faster than the average GDP in the next 10 to 15 years. Social entrepreneurs. They are the change makers.
Rival gang leaders are putting aside their differences and pouring themselves into a project that has potential to decrease violence.
So we've got all these different gangs that were beefing on the street. They come in here, if there's issues on the street, they solve them at the table now.
There's young guys in our neighborhood that look up to us, so when we're doing something positive, it shows them that there's a better way.
It gives this job so much more meaning. There's an expectation for people that grow up in communities like this to assume that they're going to grow up and get out of here. Thus makes it easy pickings for predatory speculators to come in places like this, buy a property early and cheap, and really change the neighborhood. What we like to think is an approach that we can take in low status communities is creating opportunities for development that is by and for the folks that are already in those communities.
My name is John. I am a Chief Capital Officer.
What's the name of our business?
Star Crazy Socks. Why socks? Because it's fun, I love to be creative, and always let me be me.
We want to show what people with differing abilities can do.
Clean food is a social justice issue. To be able to grow 19, 23, 25 pounds of water, and to be able to take this waste stream, let's inspire people to find other waste and turn it into great things.
The hopes and the mission of the Plastic Bank is to create a platform for the world to use and exchange all materials, plastic in particular, as a sense of currency.
So I have now developed a technology to make the key precursors for nylon in a way that is more efficient, less expensive, and for the first time it can also be sustainable.
The Empress tree captures 11 times more carbon than any other tree. It also regenerates from the stump after it's been harvested. We get to go to these coffee farmers and say, we get to give you this tree for free. And then in 10 years, we're going to come back and we're going to harvest that tree and give you 50% of the revenue from the sale of the lumber. I actually consider this tree the tree of hope.
The SDGs need people that are looking at old problems in new ways.
It's not enough anymore to just sell stuff. You've got to have some purpose.
Entrepreneurs aren't bureaucrats who say you can't do things that way.
The world needs an army of entrepreneurs focused on solving humanity's greatest issues.
Pick your problem and go after it.
We're probably some of the most misunderstood people in the world, because it's kind of like, who do you think you are?
ICC members can play a critical role in helping us all achieve the SDGs.
We think it's vital for business to be involved actively in shaping those policy discussions, in informing them, and in making sure the work of the UN, and by extension national governments, actually reflects the realities of the private sector and the world as it really operates.
So what'd you think? You are awesome. You are awesome. Entrepreneurs are awesome. And entrepreneurs making a difference in the world with their business are incredible. And this room full of leaders, this is igniting impact. Inside your programs, you should have received in the inside back page a gift. And it's this pin. It's the SDG pin with your with our EO logo on it. It's a conversation starter. It's a start of a conversation about who is this amazing organization and what are the SDGs. So if you like, wear it proudly, and if you don't, that's okay too. You could put it in your cufflinks. On the bottom is my other gift for you, which is if you want a copy of the link on the bottom, you can text that number and I'll send you a copy of the link. That film, I hadn't seen that version until today, which was amazing. So what was the film for? It's for chapters to learn. It's about a half-hour film. Chapters to learn about the SDGs. It's for GSA to show universities on how to change the world with our businesses. It's for a relationship that we have with the ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce. With 45 million members globally, the ICC was founded in 1919. They were founded and they were known as the Merchants of Peace because they did business across borders. And they realized that entrepreneurs, business people, would be less likely to have war between their countries if they were doing business together. And today, they employ over 1.2 billion people, and EO has the opportunity to connect with their local chambers and be able to share who EO is and what the SDGs are. This is a massive opportunity for us to be able to share the gift of EO for people who never heard of us. So imagine you're in this room a year from now, a room twice this size, and it is packed shoulder to shoulder because you have gone out and shared the gift of entrepreneurship with purpose, the entrepreneurship through the lens of the SDGs. That is our opportunity. That is what we are here today to talk about. You have truly ignited impact if we achieve that, and I believe that's going to happen.